What's up everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Just an Insight podcast. As always, I am Tim Birkbeck. I am a writer, I am a lover of films, music and wrestling, but most importantly of all, I am your body and vehicle through this podcast. So before I get into my little weekly roundup that I like to do, I just want to mention that last week obviously I skipped the reviewing of a couple of film trailers that I've sort of introduced to the podcast. Just purely down to the fact that I was recording it really late and I wanted to get the episode out on time. That being said, I want to kind of make up for it this week a little bit. So I'm going to do two extended reviews of films that I've recently watched. So one of which is Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, which I might be doing a more kind of in-depth episode with. I'm not sure. I'm trying to put a couple of things into place. Wait and see if that happens. But yeah, I'll do a little sort of my thoughts on that film. The second film is a documentary I watched, which I reviewed again in full for Vulture magazine, which will be up probably towards the end of the month, maybe, I don't know. But it's called The Lure, L-U-R. I'll be doing those two reviews following the chat I have with this week's guests. As for my week in review, it's been pretty busy band-wise, to be honest, which was pretty cool. Kind of came back from holiday and was sort of like, right, I want to do more stuff with the band, so I've been putting in a bit more effort trying to get shows booked, and it's paid off, thankfully. I've got quite a few shows coming up, starting with this Sunday, August 13th in Basingstoke, where we're supporting Renounced at the Sanctuary, which I'm really looking forward to, because Renounced are awesome, got some good friends of mine in, and yeah, their music's just absolutely killer. You can kind of see what other shows we've got coming up if we're playing near you. It'd be nice to see some listeners, some friends, some fans come down. You can find out where we're playing if you head over to facebook.com/The Divorcee. We've got a list of all the dates up there. We're also looking to fill some dates in September, so if anyone knows any promoters or anything, give them a shout, point us in our direction. Hopefully, yeah, sort some stuff out in September as well, which would be pretty rad. Apart from that, the only other thing of note really that I did last week is I went to see the latest Riptide Wrestling show in Brighton. Once again, they did not disappoint. Finally got to see Joey Ryan live, which was awesome. Seeing him flip all three members of British Strong Style with his dick was pretty impressive. So yeah, if you're a wrestling fan, really recommend this company. Riptide, they've literally, this show just gone was their second show, and both times they've completely blown it out of the water. Like, stacked cards, stacked performances. It's a really good atmosphere, and for me it's kind of like my local promotion really. I know I've got Rev Pro here in Portsmouth, but they do sometimes tend to rely on imports, whereas I know Riptide had imports, but a lot of the British guys were kind of the top draws on this card again. So yeah, go check them out if you're a wrestling fan. Right, on to this week's guests. I had the opportunity to talk to Lucinda and Conor from the band Kamikaze Girls when they were playing in Portsmouth as part of their recent tour with Nervous. I was really looking forward to this one because the band's album Seafoam is one of my favourite records of the year so far. So I was really interested to kind of hear about how that kind of came about, how it was all pieced together. I know from kind of reading previous interviews and other things about the band, it was quite a personal record, so it was nice to kind of talk to the pair face to face to kind of get more of an insight into it rather than just reading a bit of paper about the record, to be honest. Obviously we talk about the record in the chat, we talk about the band touring, how the band came together, all the usual stuff that we talk about on the show. So yeah, really enjoyed this one, and it was really nice of the guys to take some time out, because considering when I got to the venue, I think they were both exhausted. Lucinda was actually asleep when I got to the venue as well, so I've really appreciated them kind of willing me to put a microphone in front of them for a little bit. So yeah, please sit back, relax, enjoy the little chat I have with Kamikaze Girls, and I'll see you on the other side.
I think I just mumble when I say my name. People assume.
So they just take a stab in the dark and go, Colin.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, so I am joined by Conor and Lucinda, better known as Kamikaze Girls, currently on tour, well, co-headline tour with Nervous. How many dates are you in at the moment?
This is number 9 of 10.
Oh, yeah, okay, so phenomenal.
Right
Cool.
at the end.
Have there been any particular highlights so far?
Yeah, last night was great.
Oh, yeah, Brighton was good.
I think that's been like my favourite, maybe one of my favourites, Brighton.
Yeah.
The Hope and Ruin last
Any
night.
particular reason?
It was just, it just felt really good. Like it was just a really
very rowdy.
Yeah, it was a really good, like, rowdy show.
Yeah.
I think that just sums it up. It was
Crowd were
nice.
very loud.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Have you played Brighton much before? Or?
Yeah, we played Brighton a bunch. We've just never headlined.
Oh, okay.
So like a lot of the places we're playing, we've never like headlined in before.
Yeah.
So it's, I think we at the beginning of the night we have like 0 expectations of who's going to show up, and then it happens. So.
Well, because I think that's kind of a good sort of starting point. Is that obviously this year you've released the new record, and I've got to admit, like, you're one of the bands that I'd seen your name around, but I hadn't heard until you toured with Narwhals, because I'm really good friends with them guys, and I came to the Southampton show.
Oh yeah.
And after that I was like, why the fuck have I been sleeping on this sort of thing? But do you kind of feel that, like, obviously you're now doing this tour, that kind of 2017's kind of the year of Kamikaze Girls in a way?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we were getting to a point last year, like, after we released Sad, that we felt like we were playing so much, we felt like that band that just showed up everywhere. Whereas, like, not necessarily on, like, a large scale, just, like, every, like, little punk show that was happening, or, like, All Dayer or something, we were just like, oh, hey. And then sort of we got, like, last year was quite exciting, because it was, like, we released, like, our first, like, thing that wasn't a single, and we kind of, everything like kind of kicked off like last year, and then we wanted to do an album within the year after. I guess that was like the goal at that point. We wanted to record it by the end of the year and then have it out, and it just sort of, it ended up happening that we recorded it at the start of the year, but it made no difference because it all just happened really fast. So I think like from November last year up until this point now, it's just kind of been like a big like whoosh, but not necessarily in like a big like hypey way or anything.
It's just been a way, like just riding the waves.
It's just been like chipping away.
Well, like when we played in Brighton last night, I was like, we haven't played here since the winter passing dates. And that was in like August, and it literally feels like it was like last week. I was like, it's really weird. Like, we went on tour with Apartments in September. And that's like nearly a year, no?
God,
isn't it? Literally feels like it's been about 2 weeks.
Well, it's almost, it's gonna come up to like a year since we released Stitches, like really soon as well. So it's like,
it's crazy.
It's just, we've just been grafting.
I'm going to kind of backtrack a bit, because the show that I do is called Just an Insight, so I like to kind of go back to how the band sort of was created, and if you guys can give me an insight into how you two became the duo that is Kamikaze Girls.
So we met at an in-store in Leeds. So like my old pop punk band played in Zavi, which used to be Virgin Medicine.
There used to be one here, and it just deteriorated very quickly.
Possibly why we were doing an in-store in there, because they were like kind of trying to keep it alive and get people in.
Didn't work. But
no, not at all. We were rubbish. And you did sound for us, and then Conor was in another band. Just watched the fireworks, and then we
Lucinda's band were called The City Sleeps as well, just to get that out there. You can still find their music on MySpace.
MySpace.com. We did a bunch of shows together, and then like both of the bands sort of came to an end at the same time. I moved to Leeds from Hull, like permanently, because I was sort of back and forth all the time, and then we started a band called Hearts and Souls, and that was like from 2009 to 2015. We had a guitarist and I played bass, and then our guitarist left to be a chef,
Okay, fair enough.
He's a really good chef.
Yeah.
Big deal in Leeds on the chef scene.
The chef circuit.
Yeah, he's got awards and stuff now.
Oh, sick.
Well, we got. And then like we had like possibly one of our only like Facebook Messenger conversations we have ever had.
Yeah.
Because we always just text, but like, and I think I could probably find it because we've never talked.
Yeah.
Like on there since.
Yeah.
But like it was just, I think one of us, I don't know if it's you or me, just went 2-piece ? And then the other one was like, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So it was almost kind of like, not fate, I don't want to say that, but like you both had the same idea kind of coming into it sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just...
I think just because we've been playing music for so long together, it would have just been weird to get another person in.
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to get anyone else. Just started like writing some tunes.
And something I always find with quite interesting with 2 pieces is I think even some 3 pieces, because weirdly the band I'm in is a 5-piece, so I always find like if you can do it minimally, fair play to you. But was there ever kind of a struggle from, maybe not from yourself, kind of, because obviously drums is drums.
Yeah.
No. I mean that in the nicest possible way. Yeah. But like obviously writing without a bassist and things like that. Was it a hard transition, or did it kind of fit seamlessly?
It seemed pretty easy to me.
Yeah, I think I had a struggle at first because like I played guitar well before I played bass or sang.
Okay.
But I'd never ever played guitar live.
Yeah.
So I
think that was the hardest thing.
That was the hardest thing. Like me having like confidence issues and then actually knowing what worked.
Yeah.
So obviously there's like certain things that if you like stylistic things that won't work because things sound empty. So I guess it's just a constant learning curve for like ways you can like manipulate the music between the both of us to like make it sound.
But I think that's the thing I like most
it's
about
like
it.
A challenge, isn't
exactly, yeah. And it is like manipulating sound, which is just always really interesting. So if you were just like a standard band with like a bass player, guitar, drums, like you can kind of get caught up in the just churning out the same stuff over and over again. But because there's only 2 of us, you kind of have to look for new ways to do stuff all the time, and
I guess
keeps things
like,
interesting, doesn't it?
If you like write like say like a riff or something, you're like, oh man, this is a sick riff.
Yeah.
And then you'll play it, like in like a 2-piece, and you just like that won't work. And so it's just
so what you're saying is we have all these sick riffs lying around that
just
can't
sitting
use.
around,
and then like. Then we'll just write ballads.
It's like Death Cap. Like the song Death Cap on the album, we've had that song for 7-8 years. I think.
Wow!
Just the riff, just the guitar,
just the idea of it.
And like every single time we've come to write, like for a new release, like an EP or whatever, before in our old band, we've always tried to write that song,
but it just hasn't.
Nah, it just always sounded terrible.
And then we wrote it as a 2-piece, and we're like, so it's stuff like that, and. Like on this album we played around with like some open tunings as well, and just like stuff that makes everything sound really full. So I mean it's not like Conor has as much hand in that as I do. Like Conor plays guitar as well and will write stuff.
Not just drums.
I take it back, alright.
Drums are drums.
Yeah.
But it's I guess it's like there's like a little bit of a challenge because I mean even if I just wrote a song by myself, the point from that going to like what the band, I mean that's not really how we write, but even if we did that, it'd have a long way to go before it.
That's kind of like the raw idea before the end product.
Exactly. It's always like really important for us to make sure it's gonna sound good, just us two. Like we can't just sit in front of a computer, which is what I used to do in our old band. Like I'd sit in front of Logic with my guitar, and that's just like
just kind of like track demos and stuff.
And that's just like not really allowed because it just wouldn't.
Yeah,
just doesn't.
It's got to have like the energy and the right vibe and stuff.
And then. Tracking and recording comes after, I suppose.
Well, obviously you talked about kind of the writing process, and obviously you've just released the new album. So if we talk about kind of a little bit of the writing process of that and sort of influences on the new album. So obviously you mentioned like Conor as well. You kind of write riffs and things like that. So is it a case of that? say for instance, Lucinda, you come forward with, I've got this riff, and then Conor would be like, well, I've got this riff, and it comes together, or do you kind of form a song and then Conor builds the drums on it? How does it work?
Just all different ways.
Yeah.
Like I think whichever way works for that song. Like.
And there was so there'd be times when we the practice room we used to do Seafoam, when I'd come in and you were like, I found 2 chords I really like, and then you'd show me those and I'd be like, oh cool, and then I'd find a way of playing them or turning them into something, and then we jam that, and then or the way we wrote Berlin is I was in Hull, and I think that was after we were struggling to just get stuff across. Yeah. And then I remember I literally just wrote Berlin. I'd had the riff for a week, but just not managed to do much with it, and then I managed to just write it and put some fake drums on it, and I sent it to you and you're like, no, that's a KG song. And it from that point onwards, it was everything kind of came together gradually. So.
Yeah. And obviously, sort of looking at reviews of the album and stuff, a lot of sort of common themes come up that people kind of perceive of the album. But I kind of want to get almost from the horse's mouth, what did you want to achieve going into it, and what sort of influenced it? Because obviously, the main thing people say is kind of it's a really brave album. It's really kind of inspirational for the message it gives out, but is that what you wanted to achieve, or is it just the way that it's come across?
I don't know. I mean, there wasn't a great deal of expectation from it. Yeah. I mean, we wanted it to be good, but then lyrically, it's just me venting. Yeah. And the one word that everyone keeps throwing about is this record really cathartic? Well, it is. It's really therapeutic, but I think that's just the one thing we've heard so much. That's what it is, but I think it's just a little bit more socially aware than Sad was. Yeah. It's still very much just my silly brain. Yeah. A lot of the song content, but I don't know, we've travelled a lot, since we wrote Sad, and experienced lots of different things, and then gone through a lot of different things personally and band wise, and so it is literally everything's just personal experience, and there wasn't any expectation of I don't know, people to grasp hold of that or take anything from it, but if they do, then that's nice, because that's nice is an awful word, but that's sort of how I would want to listen to music. When with all my favourite bands, the thing I always like to cling on to and like answers in was music.
Yeah, I
stuff,
totally relate to that.
Personal lyric content, finding things I can relate to with other people in it, and I guess that's why you end up connecting with a band or a person from the stuff that they say.
Because I mean this in the most kind of respectful way, but obviously you're still quite a new band in a way. So to do an album that, as you said, was so personal to you both, did you kind of think that was quite a big step to take, or did it just feel natural to wear your heart on your sleeve?
Yeah, it was just.
I think that's just what kind of band we are. Yeah. It wouldn't have sounded like us if it was any other way.
I think it's just never really been any other way since we've been a two-piece. Yeah. But even in our old band, it was very much the same. It was a very just no metaphors, just everything is there, and it's just like it's the same live. It's just like really raw, like angsty energy.
Yeah,
and that's just what it is.
Well, as I said, like when I saw you guys on the Narwhals, that was kind of what I was like. How have I not seen you guys before?
Oh, thanks.
But obviously, talking about sort of touring, obviously you're on this tour, you were on the Narwhals tour, done Europe, done America as well. Like, what have you kind of learned, like, from yourselves, like being the bands? Is anything that you kind of thought, being on the road, like I never expected myself to be like this, or have you kind of? Because I'm guessing just the two of you, you're obviously spending a lot of time together. There must be things you learn about each other. So have those things kind of cropped up, or is it just because you've been playing together so long, it's just a nothing kind of?
I just kind of feel like if I need like space, or I need like to just like be on my own, because I'm quite an introvert at times, then it's just like, cool, I just need to go and do this.
Yeah.
And we're not really like always on our own. It's more when we do one-off shows that we'll just travel down. Like we, like in the States, we were touring with like different bands in the 7 weeks we were out there, and then when we were in Canada we were with somebody else, and then so like and then with Nervous we're like sharing a van. With Narwhals there was like the opener changed twice, which was cool. It's like it's nice that we can just hop in a van as well. But I don't know. What do you think?
It is what it is, isn't it? Like there's times where, like when we were in America, we had like 15-hour drives, and it was like just the two of us. That was pretty hard. Just because like
it's just like pressure to be social, isn't it?
It's not just that though, isn't it? Like you don't want to fall asleep. Somebody else is driving, but like 15 hours is a really long time.
I guess it's like the less of you it is, the more like probably the more like work it is, and also like if there's just two of you like getting drunk every night on tour, it's probably a little bit sad, isn't it? So it's.
Whereas with the guys from Nervous, it's just been the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Drunk every night.
Well, not me, but like, but yeah, just I think it's nice to be able to do stuff with other bands as well. Definitely. Because I mean, I think if you just toured as a 2-piece with no one else, then you just end up like biting each other's heads all the time. It'd just be like a relationship when you're spending too much time with someone. It'd be the equivalent of that.
And it just wouldn't be fun anymore then.
No, because like I think it's nice. Like, 'cause I don't know. I kind of feel like for both of us, we have our moments when we both are a bit quiet, and then we'll be like really loud and obnoxious like 10 minutes later. And I think so. You need the option to do both. And if there's more people, then you can.
But since we've been playing music for so long as well, we can kind of read where each other is. We know when someone needs like 10 minutes or an hour or whatever. Or
I think it's kind of like okay to say that as well. Like if you have a day off and you're just like, I just need to like
go be alone for 10 minutes.
I just need to go and be on my own or something. Like that's cool. Like again, it's just like it's just a different kind of. It's just like when you're mates and you like spend a lot of time together, and then it's good.
And something I always find interesting, especially with like UK bands when they go over to America, is how they kind of find difference in reaction to audiences. And I think with the type of music that's kind of coming out of America at the moment, you guys kind of sit quite nicely in that. So how did you find the different reaction to the States to here?
I guess it all varied really, but Conor had gone to Fest a lot before we played Fest. So met a lot of people, and it was like, so when we eventually went over, we had a lot of mates from around, dotted around America, that we'd be like, hey, can we set up a show? Do you know anyone? And then if anyone kind of showed up, like I think the reaction in like Canada and America was mainly positive. In Germany, like it was ridiculous, like really good.
I think the thing with the German crowd is as well that like they will tell you if they don't like it, or if they really like it, they can be like, we really liked half of the stuff, The second half of your set, not so much.
I've only been there twice, but not playing, but like with friends and stuff. And as you say, you get like, who was it? There was one German guy who came up to me because I was doing their merch.
Right.
And there was like, one song really like, other no. I was like, alright, I'm not in the band, but fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that girl in Hamburg, that when I played by myself with the venue had like it was a squat and there was electrical issues, so I just played by myself. And then like just the girl came up to me and was just like, yeah, I didn't really like that. Like, it would have been better with a drummer. I was like, yeah, like, I mean, that's what we do. And then I just ended up like apologizing to her for about 5 minutes, and she just wouldn't go away. Like, I'm sorry, and then like came over and bought a record, and I was like, are you sure you want this? I'm sorry, have it.
Yeah. I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I just want to talk about the difference between obviously Sad and Seafoam. So, as you said, there's kind of a lot more sort of personable on the new record, but I still think that there was elements of that on Sad. So for you personally, like, do you feel that there was much progression, or is it just kind of this is the next step for KG?
I think we've gone backwards, if anything.
I don't know, I think it like, because when you write from like lyrically, when you write from like a personal perspective, it just goes on as your life evolves. And then like musically, I think everything's just stepped up. We just know what we're doing. Like we have like, we know what our vibe is like more. But then my voice changed quite a lot. From, I don't know if it was just touring loads. I don't know. It just kind of like, it wasn't as high pitched and as screamy as it was on Sad. Like it's now like a lot lower, and like I still scream, but it's just not the same. And I remember when we started writing, you were like, "Can you like scream that?" And I'm like, "I am." It's just not like it's just not the same anymore. And like I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I always get told that like your voice isn't fully developed until you're in sort of like your late 30s and stuff. Like it takes a long time for a voice to develop, and it will change.
Never actually had that.
I was having this conversation with Em from Nervous earlier. And it's just like it does change. And we had this moment in the van like the night before last.
The embarrassment jukebox.
It was great. So we're in a van with Nervous. There's 4 of them and 2 of us, and we have all been in a bunch of different bands. And we had like a 2-3 hour drive, and we spent the whole of it playing each other our old musical projects. Brilliant. And it was like possibly one of the funnest. Like,
were you telling each other, or were you guessing who was in each?
No, we were like, this is this band, this was this band, this was this.
It would have been better if you just put it on and they had to guess who was.
Yeah, I guess so. But like, I think you just generally want to progress every time. And I don't think I think Sad and Seafoam are just as personal as each other, but maybe just everything's just shifted a gear to the right kind of thing.
And one thing that I did want to kind of talk to you about is, again, is something that kind of gets branded with you guys, but I don't know if it's through your choice or it's just something that kind of goes along with you, but is the kind of tagline of "it's okay to be sad" sort of thing. And like, from, I think nowadays as well, like the stigma behind kind of talking about mental health is a lot more open and stuff. So do you think in this, especially this year, that kind of going back to what I said at the beginning, like 2017 is the year for KG, that this is the perfect time for you to release Seafoam and get more people talking about that in a way?
Yeah, maybe so. I think it's more just like making sure people are like comfortable where they are. And you know, it's sort of it's alright to like talk about stuff that you might want to keep close to your chest, but that doesn't help. And everyone's got a lot of different coping mechanisms for stuff, so I think it's more just letting people know like they have options to speak out if they want to. But I guess you can never like make like a show or anything like 100% safe, but you can like try your best. And I guess that's just all we're doing. I think, I don't know, I think I don't know, it's a hard one because like there's in no way do we want to glamorize the fact like or make it cool to like be struggling or anything.
No, I understand that.
I think it's just more I don't know even know how it came about really, but like I had written a lot of stuff, and like the EP had loads of different names to begin with, and then that was just the one that summed it up. It was like and that's fine that it's just called that, it's just, I guess that's where it stemmed from, and it's the message doesn't really change. No matter how many albums anyone releases. Like, I think it's just more that there's just like a really horrible thing attached to it, and I kind of went through stuff when I was a teenager that made it seem really taboo to like have to take prescribed medication, or to have like anger issues or insomnia and things like that, and like I just didn't tell anyone anything because I thought they'd think I was really weird. And it doesn't really have to be like that. There's just no reason, I guess. But yeah, I guess people do attach that to us, but they shouldn't. They should just. It's just like a view.
Yeah, I didn't mean it sort of in a bad way.
Not at all. Yeah, I think it's just like it's a positive outlook to have on something that could make someone react in a negative way. So yeah, I think.
Plus, if you have someone that's like going through some stuff, and they're struggling with it, if you see other people saying it's all right to feel like this, then that can help people quite a lot.
Yeah, because then you can say like, look, I'm here if you want to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally get that. And on kind of being sort of a positive outlet, obviously I think it's you've got the hoodie on, obviously that you do like the lady fuzz kind of stuff. Aside, right. Sorry, look confused then. Does that kind of go hand in hand, or do you? Because the way that I think sort of creative minds do creative things, like without sort of going a bit egotistical. Like obviously, I do vocals in a band. This is my creative outlet. Doing the podcast, I write. Obviously, I've got friends that are sort of tattoo artists, graphic designers, and things like that. So for you, is that just another kind of way to put your art out almost?
Yeah, like I'm like an illustrator and a designer as well. Like I'll do that kind of stuff for people, but then obviously like music's like a really big part of my life as well. So when I like started all the zine stuff, it was just like marrying the two together. So I had one thing that was like both.
Yeah, of course,
And I also had like loads of talented friends that like weren't really getting their work out that much, and I wanted to kind of do that, or like make a body of work that was just all these people that are doing cool stuff and no one always knows about it. So it was just like a fun way to like kind of make loads of different people's worlds like collide in a little zine, and like it's cool, like everyone who like contributes to it's always really up for it, and it's just kind of like based on people that I meet, and I'm like, hello, like you're great, do you want to do something for this? This is, and then I'll give them a zine and then hit them up, like I'll email them like down the line.
Because how long have you been doing it for?
Not that long.
Okay.
Like 2 years, almost 2. It'll be 2 years in August. So I've not really brought that many of them out. But I've put on like a handful of shows, and it's just like a nice creative outlet, and anyone can be involved if they want to. They can just email me. It's fun. Like I had a girl at the show last night that bought a zine, sent me. She's a tattoo artist, and she sent me a message today like, I love the zine. Like, I've got an idea for like a written piece, and I can draw something to go along with it. I'm like, that sounds cool. Great. So it's like it's for anyone. But yeah, it's fun. I need to crack on and do the next one.
That's cool. Basically, how I like to kind of round these all up is kind of talk about your favourite songs, but rather than it just being what is your favourite song, is to bring it back down to being in a live venue, is what is your favourite song that you play live. So Lucinda, if I start with you, what's your favourite KG song that you play live?
At the moment, KG Go to the Pub on the store. It's been great.
Any particular reason?
M's been doing Ren from Petrol Girls is in the original, and M from Nervous has been doing like guest vocals on every night, and then we've just, it's like again quite hit or miss, but like some people have been like really screaming stuff, and it's been great watching people like
sing
enjoy it. Yeah, and it's like it's a fun one to play, and I think it's got like the reason we wrote it is because of creeps that kind of you know. Without getting like too negative about it.
No. But, like, I think the lyrics speak for themselves.
Yeah, it's kind of just like it's despite like the nature of the song, like I feel like it's very like energetic and it feels positive when you like it's a positive song to play, and it's like quite like a strong and like powerful thing, and it's just like fun to play. Yeah. So I'd say that's mine. Of this tour for sure.
Cool. Conor, what about yourself?
Mine's probably Sad Forever. Like the song we play after that, it's just got a really cool groove.
Good vibe.
Yeah. I can lay down all the chops on it. So, it's really good, and like we extend it out live, so it's like about 15 minutes long. So we get to
get those drum fills.
We get to make some great noises, noises are always good.
Yeah. So.
Cool. Perfect. Brilliant, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Looking forward to tonight. Thank you. So there we have it, folks. Thanks again to Lucinda and Conor for taking the time to talk to me. The pair were awesome at the show as well. They're just a really cool live band. Like the first time I mentioned in the chat, the first time I saw them was when they were on tour with Narwhals, and I was blown away with them, and they quickly became one of the bands that I constantly was checking out, and was really happy to see them do a headline show in my hometown, which was pretty awesome. And yeah, they've got really good energy, so if you get a chance to go see them live, highly recommend them if they're playing near you in the future. They're actually playing a few shows in Ireland in the next few weeks, starting from August 17th, so if you're around where they're playing, go check them out. As always, you can keep up to date with everything Kamikaze Girls on all various social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/Kamikaze Girls UK. On Twitter, it's @KamikazeGirls_, and Instagram is the same, obviously without the @. So yeah, really appreciate those guys coming on to do the show. As promised, gonna go on to do our little film review section now, and as I said, it's going to be 2 extended reviews, so to say. I'm going to start off with Dunkirk, so here's the trailer.
The enemy tanks have stopped.
Why?
Why waste precious tanks when they can pick us off from the air like fish in a barrel?
There are 400,000 men on this beach.
Coming back round. He's coming back round!
Where are we going?
Dunkirk.
I'm not going back.
There's no hiding from this sun. We have a job to do.
If we go there, we'll die. Practically see it from here.
What?
Home.
Right, I'm going to say it right off the bat. I'm a bit biased as I absolutely love Christopher Nolan's films. I think everything he's done is just pure gold. And once again with Dunkirk, he's absolutely smashed it out of the park. As soon as everything kind of kicks off, there's no easing into this film. Right off the bat, you're immersed within the war zone, and the tension just builds and builds and builds from there. Like tiny little sound effects, obviously gunfire, explosions, even like the breathing pace of the people that you're watching the film of. It just makes your whole body tense throughout the film, and I think that's something that Nolan does really well in all his films. But obviously with the subject matter of Dunkirk, it just works perfectly. As I mentioned, the use of sound just constantly keeps you on edge, and just when you're kind of the people that you're watching in the film, I think they do have. I've looked briefly on IMDb. I've got to admit, I'm kind of doing this ad-libbed a little bit, but I don't really remember any of the main characters per se having their names said, which I think was a clever little point as well. But when you're kind of watching them trying to escape the beach and things, just when you think they're safe, something happens, and that's again something that Nolan does really well. Just a kind of a false sense of security, which plays nicely into the storyline. Some people have criticised the lack of dialogue that's in this film, which I can kind of understand, but I think for me it would have detracted from the story a bit, because I thought, I keep saying it, but obviously the tension is something that leads the film. So if you've constantly got dialogue going through, kind of cuts through that and takes it away. The film in general go through a bit of the plot. Obviously everyone kind of knows about Dunkirk and what happens and what complete clusterfuck that was, but it's split into three. So it's focused on people on land, people at sea, and people in the air, and the audience is given those three different perspectives, and how they kind of try to deal with the situation that was put before them, really. Nolan does a great job of recreating what it was like on that beach, and I think having advisors who actually lived through it and experienced it comes across loud and clear, because otherwise I think it would have been very obvious the faults that would have faults in the plot line and so on and so forth. There's also a return for some Nolan regulars in the film. Tom Hardy's in there, Cillian Murphy's in there, but one of the standouts, which I never in a million years thought I would have said, was Harry Styles. The former One Direction member does an absolutely great job, and as I mentioned, for a film with not much dialogue, he probably has some of the best lines in the film. So who knows, he could become another Nolan regular. He could become a big Hollywood star now. No disrespect to him at all. Like, you obviously reading up on the film, he didn't get the part off his pop star fame. He went through auditions and everything, and he's obviously put the effort in to get the role, and on the basis of his performance, it was thoroughly deserved. One thing I'm not 100% sure if I agree on, but some people are calling Dunkirk the best film of modern times. Like, yeah, it is a good film, but I wouldn't go that far. Like, visually it's incredible. Obviously, as I've mentioned, the tension and the way that Nolan has put the film together is fantastic, but I just think there's been better films in the last couple of years. I know, completely different kind of subject matter, but Baby Driver, I thought Baby Driver was mind-blowingly good. So sorry, Christopher, I doubt you're listening to this, but that's just my opinion. But as always, Christopher Nolan, absolute master. So if you haven't had a chance to go see Dunkirk yet, it's probably going to be in the cinema for a few more weeks still. So yeah, go. I think it's a film that needs to be appreciated on the big screen as well, because as much as you can sit back and relax at home with on your DVDs or Blu-rays or however you want to watch it, the magnitude of it needs to be appreciated on the big screen. So yeah, please go see that if you get the chance. Right, second film is a film called The Lure. It was a documentary, sorry. So again, I'm going to quickly play the trailer before we get into this.
People tell me I'm a storyteller, and I guess I fit the description. Imagination is more important than knowledge. We're all charlatans to some degree. It doesn't matter who you are. It only matters who they think you are. What I've done is hidden the treasure chest, and I've given you clues as to where it is. As far as I'm concerned, that's my part. If you've been wise and found a blaze, from now on it's up to you. Your quest to cease. But tarry scant with marvel gaze, just take the chest and go in peace.
So basically the film is based around a billionaire called Forrest Fenn who had a scare with cancer, and basically he wanted to do something with his fortune, so he took out, I can't remember if it was all of it, again I'm ad-libbing a little bit, I can't remember if it was all of his money, because obviously he still survived, so he's still living, but a fair amount of money, took it out somewhere in the Rocky Mountains, hid it, and then posted a little riddle which would, whoever could crack the riddle would lead them to the location of said treasure. As far as documentaries go, I wouldn't say it's the most interesting sort of narrative throughout. Like, you're kind of introduced to the subject straight off the bat, and then you're kind of introduced to the people who are trying to find the treasure, and then throughout you kind of hear little tidbits about their life, why they're doing it. There's odd sound bites from Forrest Fenn himself, but yeah, it's quite a bland watch, I think that's the best way to say it. But the thing that kind of gets it going is the people it does follow, because they just become obsessed, and not, like, I mean literally obsessed with this treasure hunt, because some of them literally like give up their lives to do this, and it's crazy to think that that's now what they do. But also it might be the director's wish, but as a viewer I didn't feel any kind of empathy for these people that they haven't found the treasure yet, and I kind of came away thinking, like, you're just nuts, why are you doing this? And like, one of the guys is I think he's a farmer, but his sort of attitude towards it is just a bit weird. Like, he says that if he finds the treasure, he's only going to take a little bit and then leave it, because it's kind of like his token that he knows that he's found it, sort of thing. And he even has a conversation with Forrest about it, and Forrest asked him what he would do, and he says he'd find the treasure box and lick it and then take some and put it back, which I just found a bit weird, to be honest. But it, as I said, there is this kind of obsession which makes the film, and as these people are so determined to try and find it, it kind of, yeah, that's kind of the only thing that you're hanging on to. And I don't know, I didn't hope that they found it. I kind of wish they didn't, and as the film concludes, like, no one has still yet found it, yet people have kind of come close to the vicinity of where it is hidden. But yeah, it was okay. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily, if I'm totally honest, but it was an interesting watch, just to kind of see how obsessed some of these people became with said treasure, to be honest. So yeah, that rounds off this week's podcast, folks. Thank you very much again for joining me. Next week will be the first of the interviews that I conducted whilst I was at Flufffest. So looking forward to sharing those with you. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining me on the Just an Insight podcast, and I will see you soon.